Hello, everyone. Today we're here with Nathan. Nathan is an information systems major at Carnegie Mellon, and he's an incoming RPM at Intuit. I don't want to take up too much time, so now we'll let Nathan tell you about himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nathan. I go to Carnegie Mellon. I like to start from the beginning. I'm originally from Ethiopia. I was born there and moved around a lot growing up. Lived in Tanzania for a bit, moved to Paris, and I recently went to high school in Qatar. And when I was in Qatar, there was a Carnegie Mellon there, and they taught us a summer program for information systems major. And I loved how it was sort of the bridge between business and computer science. And so when I was applying to colleges, I applied to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh and got in. I said, this is where I want to be. And then throughout my experience at Carnegie Mellon, my freshman year, I worked as a software engineer at a fintech company based in Ethiopia. My sophomore year, I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers. In my junior internship, I worked at AT Kearney. And then now I'm going to become a product manager at Intuit. I've had a wide variety of opportunities, but really product management has really spoken to me, and I'm really excited to build products that impact people from all over the world, and happy to answer any more questions you may have, Phil.
Nathan, thank you so much for telling us more about yourself. Now, a lot of people hit me up all the time, and it's like, what major should I major in to break into product management? I don't really think there's a right one, but why don't you talk a little bit more about information systems and how you think that's helped you in your experiences?
Absolutely, absolutely. So information systems, I think product management, when we think about it, is sort of the middleman between design, software, and also just the business and how the business operates. But I don't think that there's any specific major that you have to be to become a product manager. For example, I met this girl, really brilliant. She's going to also become a product manager, and she was an environmental engineering major. I think you just need to have a passion for product, technology, and people. As long as you have sort of the passion for three of them, I think it'll be a lot easier. I mean, if your major is like computer science and information systems, it's a lot easier because you don't have to spend extra time trying to learn Python to do the hacker ranks that most PM interviews have to offer. But I think that really helps. But if not, there's no reason why should be a certain major. Information systems, in my particular, only Carnegie Mellon has a very unique program that they offer, which I think was phenomenal. It really aligns with what a product management is, and so I didn't really have to go and work outside of my major. So I got really fortunate. But a lot of people actually, they don't study something related to tech and go into product management. So I don't think there's a specific major that you need to do. But information systems, in my opinion, at Carnegie Mellon really helped me.
Got it. No, I completely agree. I don't think it really depends on the major. There's a wide variety of backgrounds. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about just how you found out about product management and what drew you to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like everyone else, when you go to school at Carnegie Mellon, and I'm sure at Michigan too, at very early on, you're put in the pressure of you need to figure out what you want to do. And so as a freshman, confused of what I want to do moving forward, I really just started to reach out to people, see what they do. I started seeing consulting, software engineering, product management, UI, UX, and all these people. And I really tried to create a questionnaire of exactly what these people do, because we have a very broad understanding of what people do, but really oftentimes we don't really know what the day-to-day life is. And so while I was going through those conversations, the word product manager kept coming up in my interviews with some software engineers and UI UX designers, and it's something that was very new to me. And so I got the opportunity my sophomore fall, very early on, to go to San Francisco for a conference, and there I met Intuit, actually, very surprisingly. And so first of all, the recruiter, I talked to the recruiter and I said, "What are your opening roles?" and things like that. And she said product management. And so I really asked her, what is product management? And so she gave me a very glimpse and answer, and I said, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. It's sort of listening, being the ear to users, and so that you can be the voice in your product that you make for the users. And so she really gave me a glimpse answer, and I really enjoyed what she had said. And I felt like I was really making impact. In consulting, your impact is for Fortune 500 small companies. But when you make products, especially in the tech space, you're impacting, millions of people around the world. And that's what really got to me.
Why was it the impact that excited you?
Yeah. I think the reason why the impact is the one that excited me, for someone that has been from Ethiopia, where, community has raised me, and so many people have had impact in my life to be where I am today. And so the word impact really resonates with me just from growing up and living in all these different countries. It's how can I also help other people and impact their lives? And specifically, if you think about Intuit's, their products such as QuickBooks, it helps, small, mid-sized businesses run their finances, which is sort of the most important thing for small, mid-sized businesses. And so it really talked to me about how, people can impact others in this space, just like how I was impacted by so many other people growing up.
No, that's an awesome answer. Can you talk a little bit about why, like, your linear progression in internships and where you worked and why, and go in a little bit in depth in those?
Yeah, absolutely. So freshman year, software engineer at a fintech company. So fintech I did it in Ethiopia. It was a growing field in the Africa region. I don't know if you've heard of M-Pesa. M-Pesa. It's this. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't. I have not.
Okay. Well, it's this app in Kenya where 97% of the GDP goes through this app, literally through an app. It's like sort of how China has Alipay and things like that. And so I was very interested in that space, and it was sort of building up in Ethiopia. So I said, why don't I go back and be a software engineer for that? I tried that, being behind the desk all day didn't really suit me. So I said, all right, well, let's see what consulting was like, specifically tech consulting. And I knew that PricewaterhouseCoopers, was pushing its initiatives in AI and machine learning. And so I tried PricewaterhouseCoopers, doing tech consulting, and I saw that, and sort of it was more of little coding and tech focused, and more of people skills and things like that. And so I said, well, before I get the project, why don't I start high level? And that's where strategy consulting came in, where I worked with A.T. Kearney, sort of doing strategy for companies. And I saw that, and I said, I want to do digital transformation within the strategy space. And so when I tried to do that, again, when you're in consulting, you have very little power over the work you do, and on top of that, the work that you're doing is focused on single companies and not a broader good of a whole lot of people. And so that's why my thought process between my experiences. And to be quite honest, my junior year I really pushed for product management, but I didn't get any offers, especially Intuit. Actually, I didn't get an offer there, and came back the next year stronger than I ever was, and then using your tools such as Hacking PM, and so it worked out really well.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know you used that. But so how about you tell everyone a little bit about how your recruiting went junior year, and like what your game plan was, and why you don't think you got any PM offers, and then what you did differently the following year that you think really helped.
Absolutely. My behavioral skills, I think, are good enough for me to get through the behaviorals. And so within consulting, it's two things: it's likability and credibility. And I think I did those very well. And so, when I came to PM interviews, I didn't think I needed that much practice and prep. And I was very wrong. I said, I walked in with confidence, but with PM, it's very different because first of all, there's a lot of competition out there nowadays, especially. So, if you do great, there's someone next door that did excellent, and so I went in with pure confidence, and, interviewed for places like Intuit, Google as well. And so it didn't really work out for me there because I just went in with my confidence. And so I said, all right, well, I did something wrong. Next year come around, I bought Cracking the PM Interview, the book, Decode and Encode, and Swipe to Unlock. Locked myself in a room for literally 3 weeks. You can ask all my friends about this, and just start reading all these books and trying to prepare. And once that happened, it would start working out really well. And when I went to the interview, Intuit was the first one I had, and really killed it. And even the interview, and my recruiter said, you came back a lot stronger this year. And it's really the prep and the work that gets into it. Product management is not something you can very easy and you can jump into it. It really takes time and really prep work that you need to be behind in order to get it.
No, completely agree. I also practiced a ton. I know some of my friends didn't need to practice as much. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about specifically Intuit's recruiting process, and going in depth in terms of like how many interviews there were and what you think you really did to separate yourself from everyone else?
Absolutely. So there are 3 interviews. First of all, I want to talk about Intuit. Just really cares about their customers, and this is something that they pushed on us. And so they really just want to hear about how you're able to solve for their customers, for your customers. And so, the first process is a values interview. It's with a hiring manager. They ask you sort of what are your values? Tell us about different projects you've worked on, why you're interested. Just a basic behavioral that you have usually. And so once that's moved forward to, you have another interview that I believe is about 2 hours or 1 hour and a half long. It's 1 hour behavioral, and the second one is they send you a case that you have to build a product for. So a very generic scenario could be, your product is Venmo. How can you build a feature that will help Venmo be used for small products? This is just an example. And so they give it to you 24 hours before. You have to come up with wireframes, a customer-driven solution. And so just really hone into exactly what your solution is, and within 24 hours, you have to interview people. It's a very interactive thing. And, and as a suggestion, if you don't like the interview process for PM, maybe it's not a good idea, because all PMs that I've talked to love the interview process. And, when I was doing this, I just really enjoyed what I was doing, and I didn't feel like I had a lot of work. It felt like it was really fun. And so once I got through that, the final round was with 2 product managers, 1 senior and 1 rotational product manager. Sort of the same thing, but a lot shorter, condensed time matter that you have to build a product as sort of face-to-face feature. And so once that happens, they quickly tell you Intuit has a fast turnover rate, and they let you know as soon as it happens what the process is like. Usually they have the on-site for final round, but because of my timelines, that didn't happen on my case.
What do you think really set you apart from everyone else?
Yeah. What I think, it's because I felt like I was really customer driven, and even with the 24 hours I was given, I took out the time to go and even interview people that use Venmo and run their businesses through Venmo. My haircut guy, he always uses Venmo to accept my payments. I said, okay, let me go talk to him. And so I really focused on exactly how can I hear the users and become a voice for them. And so that I really thought I'd put that into my product, and I think they're really fascinated by that. And another thing is, when you're a product manager, I think you have to be a little social and get along with people, and I think that's something that's really critical in the product interview process, and just how you answer your questions, just being confident and things like that, I think really set me apart.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you. I actually didn't do that. I remember for like one of my cases, it didn't really great. It wasn't like, I thought it was okay. And then my friend sent me her case, and I was like, you actually like went out and you're either making these quotes up or you interviewed people, but regardless, I didn't think about doing that. And it's just like, you actually went out and talked to people, which is nuts. And now I recommend people actually go do that and like do research and not just come up with a whim. I think a lot of people underestimate that. If you're doing interviews and you ask 5 people the same question, there's going to be a ton of overlap in answers in terms of like solutions that people just come up on the top of their head. So it's really about differentiating yourself. Now, looking back, I know you're not a PM right now, so we're not going to talk about that. But what do you wish you knew back then that you know now when you're going through the whole recruiting process?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish, again, I knew that it was really focusing on customers. But not only that, I think what I wish I had known is that, again, it takes preparation. The courses that you sell are no joke. There's a reason why that happens. It just takes a lot of preparation, and that's something that I wish I had known earlier, because I wish I started product management earlier, because that way I would have had a lot of experience coming into my full-time job, as opposed to having different areas. But I'm doing a lot of things on my end to get prepared, such as reading some product management books. And so that I wish I started a lot earlier about what product management is, even as early as sophomore year. It's just working at, that way I could have worked maybe at a small company doing product management and seeing what it's like there. And so because now I understand that I really want to do product management, so I would have been able to sort of call out along the way of where exactly I would want to be: small company, mid company, big company. Fortunately enough, I'm very happy and excited to be starting working for Intuit, because again, they really focus on their customers.
Well, thank you very much, Nathan. I think that was a great answer. I think that's going to help a lot of people. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience recruiting with Intuit today, and I think this will end up helping a lot of people.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day.